ThreatLocker implements a least privileged approach to cybersecurity, blocking every executable unless specifically authorized by your team. This methodology mitigates ransomware, supply chain attacks, and zero-day exploits. It ensures 24/7, 365 protection for your organization. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent known and unknown threats in your digital environment, safeguard your data and operations from threat actors, and align your organization with compliance frameworks, visit securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker.
Welcome back to the Cyber Risk TV live stream from Octane 2024 at Caesars Forum in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Mandy Logan, and today I'm joined by Bhawna Singh, who is the Chief Technology Officer, Customer Identity Cloud at Okta. And today we're talking about the era of the bot battlers.
Wow. I love the title.
I agree. This is fascinating. And we're only a few hundred yards from the BattleBots arena here in Las Vegas.
Interesting. I did not know that.
So for those of us hardware nerds, that's incredibly exciting. And that's what came to mind when I saw our session title. So bot battlers, tell me something about that. What does that mean in your worldview?
Well, the important thing about the bad bottlers, or you can say just about bots overall, that they are not helping our customers, they're not supporting their needs, they're not aligning with what they want to do. They're actually in the way. So our job at Okta is to figure out different ways, innovative ways to stop these attacks, prohibit these attacks so that we are bringing in the right people or the right identity into the system and giving them the right kind of access. That is our core goal. That's what Identity Platform is for. The other aspect that also plays a role here in my space is as a CTO of Consumer or Customer Identity Cloud, our goal there as well is, you can see we are more on the consumer and SaaS provider space, which means that these bots are playing a big role into, let's say, saturating the system or taking the infrastructure down or all of those things. And our job, again, as we are trying to serve these customers in real time, in least amount of latency, frictionless way, we need to make sure that we understand and separate the bots from the real people so that we can provide the right service, frictionless service to the people while we are stopping the bots. So more so, if you think about it, some of the industry, finance is an important industry where these bots are showing up more to get that financial gain. So how do we make sure that our customers are always, or we do right by our customers is our big goal here. That's what we're doing.
Which is wonderful. That's exactly an incredibly needed, and although it might seem like such a niche area in technology, yet we have to realize that identity is security.
That is so true, spot on. That is our mantra today in the keynote. You're just speaking our mantra. Thank you.
Identity is security. And when you think of the statistic, I believe it's that now 50% of internet traffic is bots.
Yes, and the other statistics we just shared in our keynote is at Okta, we are stopping almost 3 billion or more, actually, identity attacks, not all attacks, identity attacks, bots is part of it, credential stuffing is part of it, every month. And it's only growing. And I will bring in AI, of course, in this conversation.
Please.
AI is only going to increase that capability, because with AI and the learning, in the right hands, it can do wonders, it's innovative, it can help the human and do the right thing. But in the wrong hands, of course, that's where the malicious activity or we need to protect our customers. That's where we are trying to do. So we're also going to announce today, later in our keynote, for Customer Identity keynote, what we are doing for making it easier for our developers and customers to build AI capabilities, but secure it from the ground up.
Now, that touches on the news release of a tool that is being presented today, correct?
That's correct.
Auth for Gen AI?
Auth for Gen AI. Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you speak more on what that is focusing on?
Absolutely. So we looked at the different patterns, you can say, or the needs of applications built, Gen AI applications. And we identified four, which we will talk about in our keynote today, where we are saying in our platform, it will come from the get-go using those four patterns or four requirements. Starting with authentication itself, every AI needs to be authenticated. Only then it can start doing something on my behalf as a user. So making sure that the platform is authenticating, and we're bringing our platform to developer platforms such as Vercel or any other cloud platform there. LangChain is highly used, so we're going to make sure that it's integrated with it as well, to make sure that when developers are using these technologies to build AI, security capability, authentication capability comes from the start. The second one is API. If AI has to work and integrate and speak to other AI agents, it is going to do that through an API. So how do we make sure those APIs are secure and the right information is shared across these APIs, right? That's important. And I would also add the third one, which is the key aspect is that as a user, if you're asking your AI to do a certain task, it's going to be async. So when will that AI authenticate or verify itself? You are not going to, as human, not going to wait. That's the whole idea of just offloading your task. So how do we make sure that that async verification is happening without you being bothered and that it's done right? And lastly, I would say the data. AI is going to rely on your access, your information, or key sensitive data. So how do you make sure that that is fully protected based on which AI needs to be authenticated, when, and with what context? So those are all the things that we are working to build on this platform, and it will be available. We will start building our waitlist, but we'll have developer portal. It will be on that. So very excited about that.
That is incredibly exciting, and I am curious because my understanding was let me figure out how to word this, but as the tool is being implemented, there's an ability for the authentication of all of the APIs to continue in the background while also allowing a frictionless user experience that won't even understand that that is still going on, because it could still take hours or days.
Absolutely. So you're spot on. When we are talking about the next generation AI, until now we have talked about productivity improvements for engineers or internal teams. We are now moving into AI into the products for customer productivity. We are going further. We are talking about consumers now. And how do we drive productivity improvement for you so that your mundane tasks like ticket booking or stock checking or all of that is done by, you can offload that task to AI so they can come to you at the right time and ping you, oh, this is happening, right? So to do all that, it has to happen behind the scene, which means your user experience is more of the information collecting or whatever else setting, right? But the AI is working behind the scene for you and then interacting with the human whenever it's the right time. All of that has to be frictionless. That's when the journey will start. And the delight aspect will come from the very point that you're discussing, which is that it's happening behind the scene, async, and it's interacting with the human only when it needs to.
Which, that to me is incredibly satisfying. I mean, being able to offload the mundane things is what we all dream of, right?
Absolutely.
I would prefer, again, as has been quoted in public media, that many people would prefer AI to handle the dishes and the laundry.
Oh God, did you listen to my talks? No, because that's exactly what I say. My biggest issue is if AI can do my dishes and laundry, it will free me up.
Very fair, but having these processes run in the background, being able to delegate and relegate to not only Okta, but then to the agents that are accessing the large language models, which I've got to say that with the tools being released, I really enjoyed that the ability of getting granular with allowing the authorizations so that the specific user only gains certain information from the LLM. Fantastic.
That is the crux of it, because how do you trust this AI? You're human and you're giving this AI to do something on your behalf, which is important, and it needs your sensitive data, really PII data. How do you trust this AI to do the right thing? That's the important aspect that we are solving with the access, which is our fine-grained authorization part. So that you're giving the AI, based on the task that you want the AI to run, the right information, but also just enough, not too much. And that is the goal of fine-grained authorization product.
That thrills me. It honestly does. I think, well, I'm curious on your take. With being the CTO, having a technical background, do you feel in the past, let's say, decade, that a shift has happened toward developers being tasked with security, where before security was more handled not by the developer
Correct.
side? Do you feel that that is unfair and creating a lot more friction or stress on development teams?
Look, unfair is an open question. I wouldn't say anything is unfair because it's the job, right? And I would say security is very key part of any organization. It's top of mind for any organization. So as an engineer, whatever is top of mind for my organization is important for me to do. I would say overall, the need or the attack and the complexity of these attacks or the innovative aspect of these attacks has created a burden on every organization to figure out how are they going to support their organization, protect their organization, which means everybody is impacted. So to speak to engineers working on security, or the security is becoming a larger group's problem, I think we'd say that the saying is that security is everyone's problem now, right? We have to make sure that everybody's leaning in and helping. But that is the goal at Okta. What we want to do is we want to make sure that it's less of an issue or a burden on everybody, so that all aspects of identity, we are taking care of it. Complexity, we are making sure that we are absorbing it, so that developers are truly focusing on innovation, because we want them to focus on innovation, because there's so much to do with tech. There's so much, and AI is only making more things possible, right? Like more things we can think of. So that breakthrough is only possible so that only when we can make sure that developers are truly innovating, which means that can we take care of more of these interconnections, integrations, security aspects, the basic framework that is needed to start developing. We take care of that as part of identity platform so they can innovate. That is absolutely the goal that we are driving forward for.
Which is beautiful, because to my way of thinking, that means time is freed up and therefore stress is reduced on security teams and on the customer integration side.
Absolutely.
All the way around. Now, I want to go back to something you had said in a previous podcast that I had the pleasure of watching.
Oh, thank you.
And your viewpoint was that technology is used as a means toward universal progress.
Wow.
Will you say more on what you meant there?
Well, I must have been way wiser at that podcast conversation, but I will say, my point there exactly, as a technologist and a sci-fi fan, I would say, I believe that technology, of course, in the right hands, can be transformational and can only make our life easier. I mean, I remember the internet time, and everybody was like, oh, this is going to be, a doom, and what are we doing? And here we are. I can't think of us moving around without internet. So I think with Gen AI, we are at the next transformational period where more and very different things will happen. And when we talk about that tech is driving that, I get excited, because I see that as bringing more solutions, more ease, more delightfulness for our customers, and that's what tech is here for.
Well, I agree, and I would say, to me, part of what thrills me about security and technology is the ability to enhance the basic human drive and need of being grounded, having a home base of understanding where you are in the world, and feeling some safety and security.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I'm curious, in our last minute, with the advent of the bot battlers, with the increase in the AI agents and the bots that are an increasingly massive part of what must be managed day in and day out, are there any popular misconceptions that you have seen around the security of AI agents?
I think the popular now, but there is a misconception, I would say. There are few, right? One is there's a fear about AI, but I would say AI in the right hands is the right way to move forward, and we can't be scared of a new technology because the technology is already here. It's our job as leaders and technologists to make sure that it's being used in the right way, right? And then the other aspect with the bots is people think of bots as bad only. I think there are good bots too. And that
True.
is what AI bots, as we discussed here, or AI agents will be transforming into to become that good bots to help do our tasks, which is what we need to separate. So the next generation is, until now we have operated as bots are bad, but we are moving into good bots and bad bots, and how do we make sure that the good bots get the right access, move faster, and are doing the work, while the bad bots are kept outside. So that is the key role.
Beautiful. So the battle resolution that we can have that everyone who uses Okta can work toward is reassigning bots to our common good.
Wow, that's a lovely way to put it.
Well, thank you so much, Bhavna, for joining us today. This was really great. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for tuning in to this live interview from Octane 2024. To find all of the Cyber Risk TV coverage of this year's event, visit securityweekly.com/Octane. Welcome back to the Cyber Risk TV live stream for Octane 2024 at Caesars Forum in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Mandy Logan, and today I'm joined by Charlotte Wiley, who is the SVP and Deputy Chief Security Officer at Okta. And today we are talking about building a company culture that is focused on security. Charlotte, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I am so glad that you are here, and I am genuinely thrilled about this subject. And I want to go back to actually the abstract where it says, every employee has a role to play in keeping a company secure. I feel like that's a much nicer way of saying what we in the security community often say as humans are the weakest link.
Yes. Yeah. A lot more polite.
It is.
Yeah.
So with looking at company culture and every single employee being critical to security and to even understanding the ramifications of identity as it works in the digital world, because most employees are not on the tech side. They aren't thinking along those lines. Will you please speak on why is it critical to make security a core part of actual culture?
Absolutely. It's been a huge part of the fabric that we've built into the security program at Okta. I say there's sort of 4 tenets to the success of building that security culture. So it starts at the top. So really getting that executive buy-in and making sure that your executive team can be almost your biggest advocate with the rest of the organization around why the security program is of importance, what are we trying to solve.
Is that lead by example?
It's lead by example. It's also around, I think, taking the accountability where it is needed in terms of we're making this decision and I stand behind this decision from a security standpoint. And that's really critical in terms of having that buy-in from the executive team. The second piece is around the values. And so I think ingraining into your company values an element of security is paramount, so that the vernacular that the entire employee base is speaking is that of security. At Okta, we have always secure, always on as one of our values, and it is well known, well used. It's part of the all hands that we have. It's how we award people with recognition. So it's really part of our culture. The other things then is how do you bring people along for the journey? And then we've looked at ways in which we can build security into our employee base, as your role is also a security role, and that's been around our internal bug bounty program.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of bounty programs. So definitely please tell, like, on an internal one, how has that worked and what has been your success with it?
Sure. So our employees are incredibly talented, incredibly smart people. They're also inquisitive and they're curious and they can see problems where there's problems that are existing. And so we wanted to ensure that our employees were able to allow for the security team to hear that and understand that, and in turn, for them to be rewarded. So we instituted a new program called Stacks for Hacks.
Oh, interesting.
And it was an open forum for our employees to say, hey, I see a problem or I see an opportunity. And as a result of that, once the verification has gone through the security team, we award them for that and we say, thank you. And they do get rewarded with, we have something internally called Okta Appreciate points. And so
Okay.
they have those point system there. And we've been getting tens and tens of submissions of, they may not necessarily be security problems, but somewhere where there's an opportunity for improvement.
Right.
And so it's been a great way to get people excited and engaged around being on the lookout and being interested in making the company as a whole more secure.
That's wonderful. It makes me think of a friend of mine who gave a TED talk about that hackers are the immune system of the internet. And I think it's a similar concept that you, in your own company culture, are recognizing the talent, rewarding it, but also using the intrinsic skills they have built in order to make kind of your own immune system. You know,
I love that. I love that concept. Yeah, building our own immune system, you know, making sure that inside we're healthy, we're doing all the things that we need to do, and that's very much what the intention is of the program. We want to have an incredibly world-class security program, and we as a security team can provide that vision and that mission, but it takes everyone to get there. And so this is part of that, and it's been incredibly useful.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm very glad to hear that. I would like to shift to talking about Okta's secure identity commitment. Now, I thought perhaps I would bring out the 4 main pillars of that commitment, and then we could speak on each one. So,
Sounds great.
Okta's secure identity commitment comes with 4 main ideas. The first one being to provide market-leading and secure identity products and services. Next. Oh, did you want to talk?
Oh, no, please, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll list them all. The next one is to champion customer best practices. Then to elevate our industry to be more protected for identity attacks. And lastly, to harden Okta's corporate infrastructure. So this commitment is out there, and from my understanding, it has actually produced a lot of specific actions and shifts within Okta, but it's for it to go to the greater good, to be an example for partners, for customers, for other corporations. So coming back to that first one, zero in for Okta's providing market-leading and secure identity products and services.
Absolutely. So OSIC, as we refer to it internally, so Okta Secure Identity Commitment, it is our long-lived commitment to both ourselves, our customer base, and the industry around our security prerogative, around what we want to be doing to secure identity. When we think about the industry at large, we want to be able to influence how other providers are providing identity, and that's very much come through in IPSI, our new standard that we announced yesterday. You know, where we've seen problems, we want to be able to influence those really difficult, complex problems that other people are facing in the identity space and in the security space, and really level up the industry to be able to tackle those in a unified way. We want to codify the problems that we're having and get an absolute buy-in across other SaaS providers and customers that this is the path forward. This is the new expectation. This is the new bar that we're setting around identity. And so that's very much how we want to influence the industry at large. When it comes to the other element of the industry is we have a very large philanthropic arm to our company, and that's our Okta for Good program. And as part of this, we have said we want to really invest in the talent pipeline that we see in the cybersecurity space. There are 4 million unfilled roles as it stands today. The talent is there. We just need to get them into the industry. We need to keep them in the industry, and we need to create that diverse pipe. And so we've made a big investment into Copart. You will have seen yesterday in our keynote. And we do a number of things to really galvanize a more diverse set of talent into this industry. And so that's how do we keep the industry alive with the talent that we need and with the right security skill sets. So it's been a big commitment.
Well, it is, and I'm curious very quickly, can you give me an idea of, I believe Okta's viewpoint was secure by design and secure by default. What is the difference between design versus default security?
That's great. So one of the key things that we've found is that our customers, we love our customers, but sometimes we find that they can implement our products in a way that security could be better tuned. We could be providing some information and some advice about how to more securely implement our own product. And so we really wanted to set something in place which is around, we can design our product to be secure, but we want to make sure that that's being implemented in the same way as well. And so we've announced yesterday our secure identity assessments that we'll be providing, which is an extension on the expert assist program that we announced last year. And we have the identity security checklist as well. So we really want to make sure that our products are being implemented in the most secure way possible. Internally, the security team have a fantastic relationship with our product development teams. And so our customer defense team, where we see customer incidents, we're really looking at those in a way that we can say, what are some better security features that we can build into our product to better stop this? We all own this fight against identity attacks. And so we're feeding that back through to our product team and making sure that those security features are prioritized. And then that by default, which is, where are we making security feature decisions that we need to almost say, this is just the way we operate? And so MFA for admins, that's a big decision that we've made recently. And so now that is expected. MFA for admins is rolled out, and it's no longer, I think, a decision that can be in the hands of the customer. It's in place. And so that's that default security that we're baking into the product.
Understood. And wasn't there also something for admins regarding the session authentication? I thought I read something else about
session authentication?
Perhaps not. There was something else going on with the multi-factor authentication that was now being required for your admins. And I just remember on the side, but all in all, it sounds that these practices are assisting your company culture, but are also going into the second point of championing for the customers best practices.
Absolutely. We want to partner with our customers. We also want to learn from our customers. And so we really want that relationship to be bi-directional, and so that we can take on the feedback that they have around how we make our products more secure, and then also provide that back to other customers that maybe, that they're looking at ways that they can better use their implementation of Okta in a more secure fashion.
Wonderful. And I think that goes along with the fact that now 100% of Okta employees use FastPass and have passwordless authentication. I feel that as a customer or someone who is onboarding and looking into Okta and going, oh, wow, these are actually being used real time, all day, every day, we can go ahead and go with this route. So the third point, elevate our industry to be more protected from identity attacks. Now, this sounds like a societal issue. What can you tell us about Okta's commitment there?
Yeah, so two things on the phishing-resistant journey. Yes, we have implemented a phishing-resistant end-to-end journey internally, and it was a fairly seamless approach. Now, we do see that customers are struggling with articulating the benefits of that phishing-resistant journey within their own companies. They have the push notifications, the SMS notifications, and convincing the executive teams at large as to why would we change what already works is often a very difficult conversation for security teams to have, and really articulating that position of 80% of attacks either start with or leverage identity in some way, whether that's at immediate point of attack or through lateral movement. And what the consequences of that should be is a way that we always educate other security teams to say, this is how you can demonstrate the benefit of phishing-resistant authenticators moving forward. So we've been on that journey. We want our customers to come on that journey. It's incredibly important for us.
Oh, that's fantastic. And let's go to the fourth part, which we've kind of discussed now through our conversation. But Okta's commitment to hardening your own corporate infrastructure. Can you tell us about that process or journey?
I would love to. This has been a very big passion of mine. And so we have aspirations to be one of the world's most secure companies. And so with that, it needs to involve the entire company. It needs to involve a large program at play to do all the work we need to do internally to harden our corporate infrastructure. Over the course of the last 6 to 9 months, I've spent almost every waking moment with hundreds and hundreds of people across Okta, and we've invested nearly 1 million person hours in this piece of work, so in hardening our corporate infrastructure. We've been running over 100 initiatives and really looking at how do we make sure that when we think about the top threat scenarios specific to Okta, how do we make sure we address those potential risks and issues and those control maturity that we want to see? And so that's been a long-lived program that we've had underway, and as part of the OSIC, it will be continuing as we aim to really reach that North Star from a security standpoint around being the world's most secure company. It's been a very large effort, and almost the inception of the IPSI. So when we stared into some of the problems we were facing with some of our most critical applications in terms of putting in the right identity security measures, IP restrictions across service accounts or IP restrictions across applications that our employees use, simple things like SSO or lifecycle management and entitlements, we found that every application required a different flavor, or maybe we needed to work with specific SaaS providers to get that capability baked in. And Todd and I had a conversation about, well, this surely can't be a problem that we are facing alone.
Absolutely not, no.
So that was very much, I think, the starting point of we should think about how, as an industry, we tackle this. And so the formation with OpenID began, and then the conversation around instituting the standard was put into place.
I am very excited because I feel like for our audience, for all that are looking to expand their use of Okta, integrate more fully, or have not yet adopted Okta fully, that not only the news releases, the tools, the product, the resources, and even training that is available, I think it's beautiful. I really do. And I feel like it's incredibly helpful for the individual security practitioners, no matter the size of the organization, to go ahead and become familiar with where things are going, because Okta is setting a standard.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us today, Charlotte.
Thanks for having me.
You're so very welcome. This was an awesome conversation. Thank you. Thank you to our audience for tuning in for this live interview from Octane 2024. To find all the Cyber Risk TV coverage of this year's event, visit securityweekly.com/Octane.